Hi, everyone. Welcome back to this new episode of our Student Spotlight series, where we are able to showcase some of the work our past students have done. I'm Charlotte. I'm one of our outreach coordinators here at CCIR, and it's our pleasure today to have Loy with us, who did one of our Future Scholars Program courses. So firstly, can you just introduce yourself? So tell us where you're from, what year you are in school, and then which course you did.
For sure, and thank you so much for having me. So my name is Loy Bhowmick. I go to Westwood High School, and I'm a rising senior. I did the neuroscience course at CCIR under Professor Alejandro Cornezer Lombarte, and my TA, who was Ruben Serranos, who was a PhD candidate at Cambridge. And the title of my research paper was Guiding the Treatment of Wernicke's Aphasia through Transcranial Magnetic Stimulation.
Okay, and then, sorry, which course specifically did you do? We have a ton of neuroscience courses.
Yeah, I think it was neuroscience delving into the neuron and I forgot what was after that, but yeah, it was by Alejandro Cornezer. Yeah.
Okay, great. And then can you tell us just in general what that course was about? So what were kind of the main things that you learned about, and then also what made you seek out that specific course?
Yeah, for sure. So the course went over a lot of things. Each week I built on the last week. And so in my lecture sessions with my mentor, I learned about different things from neurotransmitters to the specifics of the neuron, to applications of that information in following weeks in the treatment of neurological disorders. And then I was also connected to information about BCIs or brain-computer interfaces where you're able to record information from the brain and use it for treatment and therapy for diseases that people go through.
Right. And then what interested you in taking this course?
Yeah, the main thing that interested me in taking this course was just the research aspect of it because I knew that I'm really interested in taking research on in the future. It's one of my main just core passions. And so having a course that is such high level and has such great mentors is really just like what I was looking for exactly.
Right. And then did you have any experience with this subject in neuroscience or your research subject in particular in school before you took this course?
I had some experience with neuroscience in my high school biology course, but not much beyond that. Not much beyond
Okay. Now we're going to talk about your research topic. Can you just share again what the title was and then give us just a kind of a general gist of what it was about?
Yeah, for sure. So the title again was Guiding the Treatment of Wernicke's Aphasia through Transcranial Magnetic Stimulation. And so essentially my research just dived into the effective treatment of options of Wernicke's aphasia, which is basically, just as some background, Wernicke's aphasia is one of the most significant post-stroke challenges faced by caretakers and patients both. Basically, its main challenges are that patients who have this are not able to understand speech. So basically, when other people are talking to them, they don't understand what they're saying. And even their own speech, they don't really know what they're saying as well. And so essentially, it's just like a massive language barrier. And currently, there are no really great treatments for it. So the standard go-to treatment is just speech therapy. But it's been shown through studies that it's not very, very effective. And so through my research, I aimed to look at other treatment options. And I came across transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS, which is essentially just a treatment for disorders in the brain. It's been used in the past for treatments of disorders such as depression and other things as well. And it works through a coil being placed on top of your head, where short pulses of waves of electromagnetic waves are pulsed through your scalp and essentially stimulate specific areas of the brain. And so I aim to kind of just focus this treatment onto aphasia as well as a potential option because it has been so effective in the past. And currently the locations of speech comprehension in the brain, so like the areas of the brain that are most active during speech comprehension are not very, very well known. And so through this research, my main aim of my research was to understand the specific areas of the brain that are most activated during speech comprehension so that I can guide the future treatment of Wernicke's aphasia by saying that, oh, clinicians should use TMS on this part of the brain to help patients with aphasia.
Interesting. And then can you tell us what your research methods were and what the process of finding that data was like?
Yeah, for sure. So I got a lot of help from my mentor, my professor. I know that I couldn't really collect data on my own because that's really impossible in a virtual setting, but so I found online databases of EEG signals, and my mentor helped me find this. And essentially, we scoured the internet and found this database of people who were basically just listening to an audiobook being read out to them. So they were just comprehending the speech, and it was just EEG recordings of that happening. And so I analyzed those by inputting them into a Python environment. And I plotted all the channels and saw which ones were most stimulated through a statistical method called weighted frequency analysis. So basically, I just across all the trials and all the patients, I found kind of the most correlated channels that were commonly found to be the most activated channels. And I proved that these are significant through a method called an ANOVA test, just to prove its significance and prove that these four channels were actually the most significant across all of the 128 electrodes that were in the EEG dataset. And then I plotted them onto a brain map using a software called EEG Lab. And then I corresponded that brain map to an actual um, just map of the brain called a Brodmann map, where I'm able to see what areas of the brain correlate to those electrodes. And so basically, by finding those electrodes, I was able to correspond them to an actual brain area and say that this area was most significant in speech comprehension.
Very interesting. And did you say that you did find a significant result?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, that's great. And then can you tell us, were there any interesting findings, maybe things that you weren't expecting to see or things that surprised you?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess the main finding was that currently TMS treatment of aphasia, it's been very, very limited. And so current treatment of it mainly focuses on Wernicke's area, which is like a specific region of the brain. And so typically, currently, as far as I know, as far as research has shown, is that TMS treatment of aphasia has only been done in that area. And so some interesting findings that I found were that actually in speech comprehension, it's not just Wernicke's aphasia, it's not just Wernicke's area that is most active. It's actually other areas such as the somatosensory association cortex, the prefrontal cortex, and the angular gyrus. These areas also are very, very significant in the process of in the process of speech comprehension, and so they can also be targets of TMS treatment in the future. At least they should be because these areas can make TMS treatment more effective and thus just increase the standard of life for patients.
Interesting. And then I know you're in, the beginning stages of the publication process, but just for those wondering, can you just give a little bit of insight as to what that has been? Like, what has your mentor kind of walked you through? What do you think your goal is for publishing?
Oh yeah, for sure. So there's lots of different opportunities that both CCIR, my mentor, and CCIR's academic team has also helped me with. So I finished writing my paper a while back, and essentially my mentor and I, we brainstormed a list of journals that we could then submit a research to. The main important thing that he said for me to look at was just to have journals that are peer reviewed, because those are journals that are very, very important and more just prestigious and more kind of like verifiable than other journals that aren't really peer reviewed. And so we brainstormed the list. He helped me in a revision of my paper as well, and we have come across a list of publications that I will be applying to. Alongside that, CCIR's academic team has also had opportunities, not just for publication, but also for presenting. So they hold a symposium, and you're able to apply to that. And I was accepted to present at that symposium. And so it's just a great opportunity that CCR has helped me with, just to be able to get my research out there and just for me to share my findings.
That's great. Now we're going to shift into kind of just your general experience with CCIR. So firstly, can you tell us what your experience was in the program and then doing a high-level research project like this as a high school student?
Yeah, I guess the main thing was that it really taught me how to think like a researcher. It didn't just like guide me through what to do. It wasn't like my mentor was just telling me like, oh, you should do this and do that. They were really telling me how I should approach writing a paper in general. They taught me how to think like a researcher, which is my main takeaway from this. It was it was pretty fast paced in comparison to my high school classes, which I found to be really, really useful because since I wasn't like dragging on certain topics that really didn't need to be dragged upon. It went really, really in detail because it's very, very tailored to the individual. Since the class sizes are probably 3 to 4 people, it's capped at 5, but my class was 4 people, including me. And so by having such small classes, you're able to tailor the information and like the teaching process and mentoring process just to each student. And so it felt good, and it felt that I was kind of the center of attention at times, which I found to be useful since it like helped me kind of solve my problems that I was going through. As for high level research, it really covered everything that I will need in college and my research at college, which is really just an invaluable resource.
Great. And then speaking of the other students in your course, can you tell us what it was like working with other students? So obviously you are in our Future Scholars Program course, whereas with the one-on-one mentorship, there are no peers in your course. So can you tell us, do you think there were any advantages of having other students in your course? Did you enjoy it?
No, yeah, for sure. There's definitely so many advantages. My main thing was that really like all my classmates and peers were pretty new to research as well, just like me. And so having them just figure out the process alongside me was really, really rewarding and valuable to see because they asked questions that I didn't really think about. And so that helped me as well in kind of figuring out what my research would be like because their angle at looking at problems was really, really unique and something that I hadn't really looked at before as well. And so being able to look at my problems that I was facing from their perspectives really helped me to overcome some of the things that I was facing as well. Yeah, it was really, really just useful.
Those are great insights. And then the next question. So again, kind of just a general point for those watching. In both of our programs, we really like to emphasize the aspect of mentorship for our mentors as opposed to just teachers, where they don't just transfer information onto the students, but really guide the student through their own learning process and discoveries. Can you tell me what your experience was like with your mentor and with your TA as you moved through the first teaching half of the course into the more research-oriented latter half of the course?
Yeah, for sure. Throughout the entire course, he was just really, really caring overall. It seemed like he actually cared about us as people and also really just wanted us to succeed in the future as well. He made sure that we understood and he set aside time for our questions in the first half of the course during the lectures, which really, really helped us as students because we were new to this field. And so having time to ask our PhD mentor just questions about the process as a whole was really, really valuable. Our TA, Mr. Rubin, he worked through all the previous week's homework. And even if we got in the questions right, he kind of helped us figure out ways that would make it easier in the future or just like simpler solutions to the problems that we were facing. And he did it in like a way that was really, really useful for us. And overall, it was just really, really personalized, which was, I guess, the main factor that was very different, like just like different from a mentorship at this program to just teaching at a school that I go to.
Yeah, I think that's great. And then just a few last questions. Do you think this course has given you any insight into your future? Do you think it's shaped or informed how you think of your career or path moving forward at all?
100%. It's really just focused my career and path into becoming just focused on neuroscience. I've known that I wanted to be a physician for a while, and so having this course that has really just given me so much detail and analysis and depth into the field of neuroscience has really focused me into becoming into wanting to becoming a neuroscientist or just a neurosurgeon in the future, something like that. It really just like through the multitude of opportunities and just in-depth just mentorship, it really has provided me with like a solid base that I can like use to kind of just propel myself further and further into the field of neuroscience, which is really, really valuable.
Great. And then my last question, what would you say to someone who asked you what the value of doing a project or a program like this is, especially for a high school student?
It's a great question. I think just in concise terms, that the value of doing a process like this is that it really just propels high schoolers and focuses them into their desired career path through an impactful research project. Because you're able to really do what you care about, And through having these opportunities, such as the one-on-one sessions with your TA that you can schedule each week, having publication and revision opportunities for your paper, even once you complete the program, to having just lectures and TA sessions where you can just ask them questions and do anything you want. It's just really a comprehensive path that you can use to kind of develop a strong foundation in research and propel yourself even further into the field in the future as well. And I know that in college, it's a really, really big part of your curriculum, research. And so having this base will kind of help you to be more advanced and farther ahead along the path than your peers who might not have the same experience. It's just really, really good. And it'll help me, I know in my future, when I do research at college.
Great. I think that's great advice. So that's the end of our spotlight interview. Thank you so much for chatting to me, and congratulations again on your nomination to our series.
Thank you so much and have a great day.